Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and for those of you who are my loyal subscribers, I am super sorry from the bottom of my heart for how long it has taken me to get another video out. This video is going to be a little bit different from all of the other videos that I've posted in the past. Up until now, my most viewed videos have been my budget spreadsheet template videos. I've gotten so much positive feedback on those videos, like to the point where people are talking about how much it's changed their lives. But even with all that positive feedback, there's always one piece of feedback that comes through over and over and over. And that is, why not make these budget spreadsheets downloadable? Why do I have to go through all of these steps? Why can't I just download the budget spreadsheet and get going that way? Well, I heard you loud and clear. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to use my brand new, top of the line, Budget Smarter budget spreadsheet template. So with that being said, let's dig in. Alright, so the first thing we really need to nail down is what exactly is the Budget Smarter budget template. It's actually really simple. It can be defined as a budget that looks into the future. It almost gives you a crystal ball, so to speak. It should take about 5 to 10 minutes to fill out the fixed income and expenses page, and you are on your way. All you need is the starting balance in your checking account, the date of your next paydays with an estimated dollar amount, and a list of all of your fixed expenses or bills with their next due dates and amounts. This will provide you with a running balance into the future, which will change automatically as you make adjustments to your fixed expenses and add other expenses or income. From there, you'll have a line of sight into how much money you'll have 6 months from now, or a year, or 2 or 3 years from now. It will allow you to make adjustments to how you are spending and or saving right now so that you'll be set up later. It will help you answer questions like, will I have enough money when my mortgage comes around if I take this vacation now? I'm telling you folks, people who have used this budget plan have had rave reviews. It's changed people's lives. Listen to this. Marie Stewart says, "This budget tracker has absolutely changed my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've been using it for a month now, and I can't believe how in control I feel of my money. I've had various iterations of budgets over the years, and I'm actually an accountant, but I've never felt I was in control throughout the month. I would just look at the numbers at the end of the month and wonder what happened. I knew I needed this, I just didn't know how to go about it. Future us thanks you when we retire." Hopefully that's enough for you to get engaged in this video. So let's get started. The first thing I would suggest is reviewing the how-to page line by line. I think I'll cover everything in this video, but I still think it's good practice to review the how-to page on your own so that you at least know it's there to go back to if you need to. After you've reviewed the how-to page, the next step is to take about 10 minutes to fill out the fixed categories page. In order to complete this page, you'll need the next time you get paid from each of your fixed income sources, along with an estimate of how much you get paid each pay period. You also need a list of all of your fixed expenses along with their due dates, the payment amount, and their frequency, like monthly, annually, or quarterly. Fixed expenses are things that you pay on a regular basis, like rent, phone bills, car payments, etc. You may also want to include an estimate on how much you'll be spending on things such as groceries or gas on a weekly basis in the fixed expenses. You'll also need the current balance of your checking account, including any pending transactions. Once you have all of that information, we can start filling out the fixed category setup page. The first thing you'll enter is today's date, or the date you'd like the budget to start from, and hit enter. It's important to always enter the date as month, day, year, to make the template work correctly. After that, you'll grab your starting balance and enter it here and hit enter. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to say that my starting balance is $1,000. Once you have the starting balance and the starting date entered, you should be able to flip over to the zero-based budget page and see that it reflects in the starting balance there. Then you can flip back over to the fixed category setup page and tell the budget how far you'd like to look out by entering the year you'd like to end at. If you want to only look at this year, you'd put this year as the final year. If you want to look at the next 2 years, you'd put the next year's year, and so on. I wouldn't recommend going past 3 years because this budget isn't really designed to go beyond that. Now I'm ready to start entering my fixed income. I'm going to call my first paycheck Paycheck 1, but you can name it whatever you want and it'll reflect in the zero-based budget sheet after you have this row filled out completely. After I name my first income source, I'm going to choose how often I get paid. For this income source, I get paid bi-weekly. You can only have one of these boxes checked at a time. So if you accidentally clicked on the incorrect box, you need to uncheck it and then check the correct box. Once I identify how often I get paid, now I need to tell Google Sheets the first time I get paid. The next time I get paid from this income source is Friday, 7/29, and the amount is $1,200. So I'll enter that here and hit enter. Once you enter the amount and hit enter, you should be able to flip over the zero-based budget page and see it reflected there. Now you just repeat for each income source. Once you enter all of your income sources, you should be able to see a lot of green on the zero-based budget sheet. That's a lot of money. Take a nice look at that, because from here we'll start adding those expenses and that balance will drop dramatically. Alright, speaking of expenses, let's start adding those. You'll be entering those the same way that you entered the fixed income sources. I'll enter the first expenses. So you'll label the first expense. I'm going to call mine mortgage. I pay this monthly. The first due date for me would be 8/1, and the amount is $1,200. Once you've entered everything in this row, you can flip over to the zero-based budget tab and see that reflecting there. Now you can repeat for all of your other fixed expenses. So I've sped through entering the fixed expenses so that we can chat about a few other important things here. First, I want to take a second to suggest that you might want to make a fixed expense for groceries and gas or any other basic needs that you have on a regular basis but might not have specific due dates. For instance, if you generally spend about $200 on groceries a week, you would want to add that as a weekly fixed expense. You can also plan a fixed gas expense. You might also want to add an annual holiday budget. I would also make a plan to put some money into savings in this space too. Okay, now that we have all of our fixed expenses added, I can take a closer look at the zero-based budget sheet to see if there's any adjustments that I need to make to my spending or saving. When I'm over here and I scroll down, I can see that if I keep my spending the way it is, I won't have enough money for any extras, and I'm actually going to go into the negative in October. That tells me that I need to make some adjustments. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot of changes that I can make to my fixed expenses. So that means that I probably have to adjust the amount that I'm putting into savings on a weekly basis. Right now I have a transfer of $300 set up each time I get paid. I'm going to adjust that to $150 to see how that reflects in my budget. Now this is important, don't miss this. If this is the first time you are setting up a budget, you can make those changes on the setup page. If you aren't in the setup phase and you've been using your budget for a while, you'll need to make those adjustments in the Fixed Adjustments tab. We'll chat about that in a bit. For now, I can make the changes in the Fixed Expense Setup tab and wait for the green loading line up here to finish, and then I can go see how it reflects in my budget. Looks like I should be good to go now. I don't see any more red when I scroll through the running balance. Now, if you've been using your budget for a while and you need to make adjustments to your fixed spending or fixed income, you'll need to make those adjustments on the Adjustments to Fixed tab. If you changed it in the Fixed Setup page, it's going to reflect in all your previous transactions too, not just the future ones. It's important to follow these instructions. To make adjustments to the fixed transactions after you've been using your budget for a while, you'll want to flip over to the Adjustments to Fixed tab. Now you can scroll down to where you want to make the adjustments either in the fixed income or the fixed expenses and make the change in the actual column. You can only make changes in the actual column. If you try to type over the dollar amount that is already there, it'll make all of your income or expenses disappear and you'll need to hit undo up in the left-hand corner. Only make changes in the actual columns. If you make changes in the actual column, the dollar amount will be reflected in the running balance on the zero-based budget tab. If you don't make any changes, the estimated amount will reflect instead. I would suggest checking the boxes in each transaction as the days and the months go by so that you have accounted for not only the fixed transactions, but that the correct dollar amount is there for each fixed transaction. Now we can move on to adding our variable expenses. This is where you want to add any income or expenses that aren't considered fixed. This might be where you add a tax return refund or a cash gift in the income space. It might also be where you add an expense like dining out in the expense category. The premise is the same. Just add the date, the description, and the amount. Once you add those expenses or income sources, I always recommend adding a check mark too. You don't have to, but the reason I do is for what I'm going to talk about next. This might also be the spot where you want to plan for expenses that aren't necessarily fixed expenses, but it might be something that you want to plan for down the road. For instance, let's say you want to plan $300 for a holiday budget. If it's July today, you might want to add an expense titled Holiday Budget with a December date. That way it'll show up in your running balance in the Zero-Based Budget tab. So now you can plan other expenses and still know that you have that money set aside for holiday budget at the end of the year. And you won't check that box that the transaction is complete until after you've spent that holiday budget. And there you have it. Now you have a plan for your money. Some might look at the running balance and realize that they need to make changes to their spending habits so that they have enough money later on in the year. On the other hand, some may see this and ask themselves where all their money's been going. This tells me that if I don't spend all kinds of extra money, I can have extra to put away. Either way, I hope that once you have this all set up, you'll feel much better about your financial plan over the next year or 2 or 3. If you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like. Also, if you leave a comment, it'll help the YouTube algorithm to get out in front of more people. I really truly do think there are a lot of people who could benefit from this type of budget plan in their life. Thanks again for watching.